Now you can automate your collection letters to go out after a certain number of statements have already been sent. And to set that up, you want to begin by going under the Master Files menu, down to Patient Billing, and over and down to Patient Billing Rules. To give you a quick overview, basically what you're going to do is type in a name of your collection letters, of your steps that you want to go one collection letter after another after a certain number of days have been reached. And before you start sending collection letters out, you want to send out so many statements. But before you can define how many statements are sent out, first you have to set up your collection letter rule. And even before you begin setting up your collection letter rule, you actually need to have some collection letters that will go out according to that rule. Now, in your new Office key, you're not going to have any collection form templates here. And you'll need to set those up before you set up your patient billing rule. And then you'll set your patient billing rule up, and after you do that, you'll define how many statements are sent before it starts running your collection letters. So first things first, let's go ahead and set up your collection templates. And to get started, you want to watch the form training video. But I'd like to give you a little idea of what I'm talking about before we get started here. So to set up your collection form templates, and you got to promise me you'll watch the form template video, but you want to go under the Master Files menu, down to Templates, and then over and click on Form Templates. For the most part, it's very easy to set up your form templates or your collection letters. And the screen's broken down like this. You can see up at the top I have a list of all my current letters, either collection letters or standard letters. And then over here I can name my letters and then make changes down below in the open space provided, and then also use merge fields because I don't want to keep typing in patient information every time I send out a collection letter like the patient's name. I want it to auto-populate for me. So let's begin up here real quick to give you a short overview of what to do. Let's say I want to send out 2 collection letters before I send these guys to collections. My first one will be a soft collection letter, which I've already created, and if I scroll down here, you'll see it's right here, soft collection letter. Let's say my final one's going to be the harsh collection letter. Now you want to make sure you change your type to collections, because if you don't, it's not going to show up in the patient billing rule, or in the collection modules for that matter. And then you can see down below it changes the folders for certain data fields that I'll be using when I click on the plus sign that I can use in my letter that I'm going to type over to the left here. So for example, to keep this short and simple, I'm going to come in here and type in Dear. Now I need the name of the responsible party, and so instead of typing it in, I can use a merge field. Come over here, click on the plus sign to the left of it, and I can use the responsible party's full name, first name. Full name's best. I'll double click on that. And you can see it adds the merge field in here. And then I'll do a comma and hit enter a couple of times. Now please pay what? Well, I want the family balance to pull in. I'd like to get everything right now. So I'll click on the minus sign to collapse it. There's my family balance. I can double click on it. It adds the merge field. Now when you're creating these, if you're going to put 2 merge fields next to each other, like instead of the full name I use first name and last name, whatever you do, do not put them next to each other. Always have a space in between them. So for example, if I double click here, you can see there's a space between them. If you put them together and they're kissing, you're going to have very ugly reports. It's going to look messy. They don't get along. So space between them, or a hard return, a new line for them. Then hit enter a couple of times. Maybe it would have been good to put the dates up at the top, but I can double click on today's date. When I'm finished, be sure to save my work. Once I save it, it adds it over to the left hand side here. It's alphabetized, so I'll scroll up and there's my harsh collection letter that I can select and make any changes down below and then save again. Now when I'm finished, I can go ahead and close out, come back to my patient billing rules, and because I left this open, I need to refresh it because my harsh collection letter isn't showing here. So I'll close out, Master Files, Patient Billing, to Patient Billing Rules. And there we go, there's our harsh collection letter. So now that you have a couple of collection templates set up, let's say maybe there's one for 90-day collection letter, 120-day, or maybe at 200, 230. Create as many collection letters as you'd like to go out based on the aging day. And the aging is based upon the oldest charge. So let me show you what I mean. We'll get started here. First of all, you want to type in a name for your rules here, and I'm going to say it's 120 days. It's going to be the name of all the collection letters I want to send out below here. And to get started, my first collection letter is going to be soft. So I'll select it, and then over to the right hand side, you can hover over it, gives you a pop-up, and what it's telling me is to enter in the minimum number of days that the oldest open charge must age before applying this rule. So my soft collection letter is going to go out at, let's say, 121 days. If that oldest open charge hits that, instead of generating a statement, in its place is going to be this soft collection letter. And then I can choose to have a write-off balance. In other words, if any patient has about $1 or less, I'd like to automatically write it off and not mess with collecting on it. And then I'll, of course, have a write-off code and say it's going to be a write-off small balance, so I know what that's all about when I see a write-off of $1. Double click on it, and then when I'm finished, go ahead and click on the Add Step button, and it adds it up at the top. Let's do one more collection letter. Let's say after 121 days, I don't tolerate anymore and I send out the harsh one. I can send out, go ahead and select harsh. Over here we'll say after 200 days, do we want to write off anything, maybe $1, if the balance is $1 or less. Of course I want to select my small balance write-off and then click Add Step. That's all I want to do is send off 2 collection letters, first at the 120-day mark, 121-day mark, after the oldest charge hits that, then send it out, and then 200 days if I haven't been paid on that oldest charge, send out the harshest one, and then finally, I'm not done yet. Even though I just want to send out 2 collection letters, my last straw is to send them to the Hopping Mad Collection Agency, so I'll select this last step here. Finally, the only thing you have to decide here is at what aging day of the oldest open charge do you want to go ahead and generate a collection agency file. So when you're running your patient billing wizard and the responsible party, his open charge hits, let's say, 230 days, it's automatically going to generate a file for you to download that you can go ahead and print off and send to the collection agency. That file is going to be comma separated value, which you can open up in Excel if you wanted to. And by the way, these collection letters you won't be able to print off in your office. They're going to be generated through McKesson. In other words, they're going to go out electronically through McKesson and for a fee. And you want to call the medical billing software support on this to find out how much. McKesson will go ahead, print and stuff and stamp and mail off your collection letters for you. Now you can print off your own collection letters and generate them in-house, but you won't be able to do it through the patient billing wizard with using the patient billing rules here. So let's continue. I set it off to 230 to generate a file so I can give it to the Hopping Mad Collection Agency, and it will come due exactly at 230 days. So if I don't decide to bill out my statements until 235 days, at least it'll be ready for me because I passed that 230-day mark with the oldest open charge. Finally, what do I want to do with those charges? I can write off the entire account. Let's say the patient has $10,000 and only $1,000 is the oldest open charge. Maybe I don't want to write off the entire account, but just only the oldest open charge after this aging date of 230 days. I'll go ahead and do the entire account because I really don't want to mess with it. And I'll click on the write-off code so I know why I'm writing it off. And we'll say bad debt. Double click on it. When I'm finished, I'll click on Add Step. When I'm done, I'll be sure to save my work. Once you save it, it'll add it over to the left-hand side for you to come back later and click on it to make any updated changes you want. So the quick rundown goes like this. After so many statements, and you want to watch the video on account types, it'll generate the soft collection letter. And then after the soft collection letter, once it hits 200 aging days on the oldest open charge, you get the harsh letter when you're running your statements instead of a statement. And then after that, 230, it generates a file for you to print off so you can go ahead and take it to the collection agency.